everybody, Patty Dooley here, and welcome back to our Meal Planning Made Easy. So good to see you here today. If you haven't been on these videos before, I have a playlist up here that starts from the first and second video. This is the third that you can go back and watch. We've been talking about making meal planning easy and taking the chaos out of shopping. Yes, you can. I mean, if you're like me, you know, it can be chaotic in your family life and stuff. You have so much going on, and you try to figure out meals every day, and it's kind of like pulling hair. So I've tried to make this a little bit easier for people with that type of life and things that's going on, so that way, you know, you're better utilizing your time on grocery shopping, saving money, and everything else, you know. So that's what we are doing here today. Uh, the last two videos we talked about how to keep track of things, no right or wrong system, you know, whatever's easy for you. And then we talked about going through our pantry and our freezers to utilize what we already have on hand. Well, you know, personally, I have to do that too. So that's what I done this past weekend is went through my freezer, went through my pantry, and you know, just seeing what I had on hand that I could actually do some recipes with for this coming week. Well, I had leftover taco meat in there that I actually intentionally cooked, like a big batch of taco meat, and then we had some for dinner that night, and then I put the rest in a freezer container and put it in the freezer. Well, from there I can make taco soup, Dorito casserole. Just so happens that tonight I'm taking the taco meat and making taco stuffed bell peppers because I found some beautiful red bell peppers on a awesome deal that I could not pass up, and bought quite a few of the peppers. Now with the peppers, because I found such a good deal, some of them will be dinner tonight, and the rest gets chopped up and put in the freezer for cooking during the winter months. So that's, you know, being able to utilize what you have and not having to run back and forth to the store all the time. I found a couple of chicken breasts in there today. Those are going to make some pulled chicken, apple pulled chicken meat for some lunches for my daughter when she goes to work this week. So it wasn't enough for a whole meal, but it was enough to do some sandwiches or maybe a casserole. You go through your pantry and make sure you have enough staples such as rice, flour, sugar, canned goods, tomato sauce, pasta sauce, you know, cream soups if you use those. Those staple things are what you want in your pantry all the time that you can make many, many meals out of. For instance, I have several bags of frozen french fries. That's not enough really for a meal or anything, but did you know that you can take those pieces of bags and make a casserole out of them, just like um, tater tot casserole, and it's amazing. It's the same thing as a tater tot, it's just a long french fry. So you can utilize the things that you have in your freezer and in your pantry to do a menu for a week, and then when you go for your grocery shopping and you start a new menu, then work from that. Um, that's what I, you know, really stressed last week, is to do that so you can see what you have and get organized. The more organized you are in your pantry, the less you will spend at the grocery store double buying things. That costs you a lot of money and stuff, you know, and a lot of backtrack time going through the grocery store because you're wondering, oh, what do I have rice? You know, well, I don't remember, so I'm going to buy more rice, and then you get home and you find you have a whole bag of rice. So really stress on organizing your pantry. And of course, I'm with Tupperware, so I'm going to suggest modular mates. You know, that's my job. That's what I do. But putting everything in your pantry to where you can see what you actually have, what you need to buy, is really going to save you a lot of time and a lot of money. So, you know, if you're not organizing your pantry, I really suggest doing that. And like I said, I sell Tupperware, so that's what I'm going to suggest is the modular mates. What you use is a personal preference preference, that's up to you. Um, what I have for you today is a shopping list that I personally use. For years, I would just grab a sheet of paper, fold it in half, write everything down. I'd write my menu on one side, and when I talk about write my menu, I wrote, so like today, if I'm writing this out for the next week for the groceries, I would write, okay, Monday I'm having taco soup or whatever. Tuesday, potato soup, whatever I'm doing. Uh, but I write that down, and then on my little sheet that I'm going to offer you for free is a place that you write your menu. And on here is one line. I know it's kind of hard to see because it's the glare, but I have for like Monday, and then I put what I want to cook that day. Right underneath it is an area for you to go through and write down all the ingredients that goes in that particular menu, so you can write it down, go through your pantry, go through your freezer, see do you have those things, mark those off. The things that you do not have, I flipped my sheet over and I wrote it on the shopping list side. So that way I could flip back and forth when I'm at the grocery store. And I have the whole entire week on one side, it goes from Monday to Sunday, and then a whole shopping list on the other side. So when you write out your weekly or bi-weekly or monthly or whatever it is, go ahead and write down the ingredients that you need for that particular recipe. Now there's givens, you've got salt, pepper, all that sort of thing. You don't have to write all that little bit of stuff down. But if it requires rice, if it requires potatoes, if it requires, a can of stewed tomatoes, whatever it is, just write that down first on your entire week menu planning, and then from there see what you have in your pantry, see what you have in your freezer, and then from there go ahead and write your shopping list. That is like the most easiest way, because you're utilizing what you have and not double buying things. Like I said, that costs more money. Now, some things you can stock up on, and it's really good to have it on hand, like such as tomatoes and rice and stuff like that. But you don't want to buy so much that it's just stuck up there in the cabinet and you forget about it. So that's the biggest thing right there, is you want to do that. A tip on writing out your grocery list, or at least it is for me, because I know my grocery store that I go to all the time, I mentally go through the aisles before I get there. So I know, coffee, tea, peanut butter, bread, all that's one section. Condiments like mayonnaise, salad dressing, pickles, olives, all of that's another section. Cereals, stuff. So I write my grocery list out and I group it so that way when I'm going up and down the aisles, I get it all while I'm there. I'm not running back and saying, oh, I forgot this, and then have to go all the way back to the other end of the store to get something. And I start out with my produce, and I work through my produce first, because generally that's the first thing. Bread and produce is what, at the fronts of the stores, when most stores anyway, that you go into. So I work through my produce, and then I don't particularly buy a lot of breads. So if I want to do something like bread pudding and stuff like that, I plan that out, and then I know to pick up, a loaf of French bread or something like that for my meal. And then that saves you just tons of time on going through the grocery store. And then you can check off your list as you're going. Either you're doing it on your phone, a sheet of paper, or however you're doing it. It really does keep you from backtracking, and when you start backtracking, you start forgetting where you were at to begin with on doing stuff. And then if you're like me, you get frustrated and you're trying to remember mentally what you were doing, and it's like, okay, stop right here, I have to stop. So writing your grocery list down in an order, so as you go through the grocery store, saves you tons of time. Now, one trick to go in grocery shopping that I will tell you to, and most people know this, is do not go hungry. Eat something before you go. Maybe some a sandwich or some peanut butter and crackers or anything to have a full stomach when you go to the grocery store. Why? Because we get hungry and we impulse buy. Things look really good and we want to eat it because we're starving to death, and it's not a good thing because most of us shop on a budget, and being able to keep track of your budget as you're going through the store is very, very helpful on how much you're spending. If you do like I do, I add things up as I go through the store. I do a running tally as I go along. And a matter of fact, when I do my running tally, say like if it's 12.95, I just round up to $13. So by the time I get to the checkout counter, I'm over, but I know I'm actually under that. So, in case I want to pick up a little something extra when I'm done, I know I have a few extra dollars in my budget. I can do that. But always eat before you go grocery shopping because, like I said, you will impulse buy and it's all over then. It's all over. Um, when I go grocery shopping, because I do not buy a lot of sweets. Now, I'm not going to say we don't eat sweets. And I'm not going to say we don't eat candy. And I'm not going to say we don't do that because we do. We look healthy. We do not look like we don't eat it because we do. But I only buy it at a couple of times during the week. So that way it's not stuck in the house and we're not constantly going to it. And I try to make up some things that we can actually have here, like have some more fruit on hand or bananas, things like that. But for my grocery shopping personally, I stick to as much unprocessed food as possible. And I try to stock up on things like the pasta and the rice and, canned goods, things like that, and produce and things because I just feel horrible when I start eating a lot of processed foods. I just do. Even though it's quick and it's easy and many, many times it's a lot cheaper to buy, it is also very unhealthy. It's full of salt, and it's dead food. It's not, I mean, I heard something the other day watching about some gardening and things like that, and the man said, people are starving on a full stomach, and that just really resonated with me. So, and it resonates with how I shop. So this might be something you consider as you're going through the store, as you cut out a lot of that um, impulse buying, and you cut out a lot of the other processed foods and begin to cook your own because you're going by a menu and you're getting more healthier food and stuff like that. That's a whole different story, but that's my take on it anyway. So when you're writing your grocery list, try to do that in a way that you can go through the store, each aisle, and make the most of your time and not get stressed out doing that. I wanted to talk just a few minutes about emergency meals because things happen and you just have times that come up that, something to taking up your time, you was at the doctor too long, whatever it is, and you're thinking, I just really don't have the energy to cook this meal that I had planned, or, more people came over, whatever the case may be, have a couple of emergency meals, easy meals in the freezer or in the pantry or something like that for you. I am not a hot dog person. My husband and them are. But if you want, keep a couple extra packages of hot dogs in the freezer, a couple of extra cans of chili and stuff like that. So on those very unexpected nights, you have something that you can actually run in, grab, do, and go. You know, I do it here. So if it's life happens, so just be able to know that you have something in the freezer and you don't have to stress out on what you're going to fix that night. So I hope this little bit helps you today. Um, I really want to talk next week about what to do after you've done your grocery shopping. You've got your list, made, and you went to the grocery store. Um, I can tell you that if you planning ahead helps you, so there's little things that you can do when you get home from the grocery store that will help you throughout the week on making the best use of your time and prepping things before you start cooking. So if you have questions or anything about meal planning, like I said, I'm not an expert at this. I'm just sharing the things that I actually do in my own life and that has worked for me over quite a few years, and that I've learned the hard way. I've done trial and error, and worked on a lot of different things, and I found that this is what works best for my family. You may improvise and do it a different way. That's fine. It works for your family. But that, like I said, I'm not an expert by no means in this area, but I'm just offering my little take on it that I have learned. So in the link below this video here, you're going to see a link to a shopping list that you are free to download and use at any time you want to. My shopping list, like I said, it has menu on one side, shopping list on the other, and then on the inside it has like bill payments, banking, due today, notes, and then that way, because I'm a real stickler for planning my route out when I go to town. I don't know, I've always been that way. So I'll start and say, go do this, because I don't like to backtrack everywhere I go. So I make sure that as I'm going, I'm hitting these places, and then I end up where I need to be at the end, and then I can just go home and do what I need to do. So like I said, that's in the link below, and it's free there for you to use it if you like it. You know, you may have something that you designed up yourself or use that's better for you, but I just wanted to offer that to everybody today. So, like I said, if you have questions, feel free to comment. Would love to hear your thoughts on this. If you have any input, comment and share that here on the video. And, I'm always open to learning new things. So you guys have a great week, and I will be here next week, next Thursday, to share on what to do after you get home with your groceries, and do a little bit of prep for yourself that'll make things easier. So you be blessed, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.